Rising. Sheikh Biam here, Bay here for the Library of Khalifa Media. I have with us today our illustrious, I won't call him too much of an elder because he gets around better than I do, but for the sake of conversation, our beloved elder, Tarik, Ricard, ill,
a.k.a.
Newton
Joseph Ricard Jr.
and for clarification purposes, praise Allah. And so we're here today to
Ricky.
basically get our brother, which he already is an immortal to us, but we want to make him an immortal for yourself as well. So just kick back, enjoy the flow of this, and while you're at it, once this is done, we'll upload this to my YouTube, Beyond the BS.
Beyond the BS.
Or Beyond the BS. Depends on how you pronounce my name. But you'll get it. So this is our first episode, live coming at you with our producer, Brother Rene Goff Bay. Islam, beloved. Love. I know you've got a wealth of history and information that I would love for you to share with this beloved family of ours, because too much of our history has been getting past us. You know, our elders are leaving us, transitioning out, and not enough of our information is being archived. This is intellectual property. And we are going to restore our people in all facets necessary. And I'd like to talk with Brother Ricard Ill a bit about his travels and his journey to get to the point where he's, at his God self. That I've learned so much from myself here. This is my other dad, by the way. Just to let y'all know. One of the three I've had alive here. So praise Allah. Give us your story, beloved.
Well, my story is I'm a Los Angelino. I come out of my mom's womb in 1943 on 30th and Broadway in Los Angeles. At a little small hospital they had for us in those days in Los Angeles. And on my county birth certificate it says that my father and mother were both Negroes, small N Negroes. Now that, when I saw that...
Did you say Somalian?
No, small N.
Oh, small N.
Yeah.
Negro.
Lowercase N.
Interesting.
Yeah, right. and so, but my dad, he was vehemently against being called that.
I know that's right.
Oh, he hated that. He said, no, I'm not. He said, I'm French and Indian. Well, what I come to learn later on in life is that he was right, except
the Indian part.
But the Indian part, right?
Yes,
because his great-great-grandfather came to Louisiana with John Baptiste de Sable.
Whoa.
And they, in the French colonial effort, moved up the Mississippi, and de Sable eventually set up Chicago. And just this basic kind of thing that I learned, not growing up here. I know I had to leave and go away somewhere else where I didn't really belong, or I can't say belong, but I really, it wasn't nothing that I had any connection with.
Oh, I'm saying there's one right around the corner from you anyway.
No, another
big one.
Right,
but anyway.
So we were talking about
traveling, how your ancestors traveled with Jean.
Well, yeah, my triple great grandfather, whom I find out later, came from Marseille, France, and how I got to that information was one day I found myself in Marseille, France, in 1966.
Wow.
And so I looked up the name, my name in the telephone book, And there I was.
In a telephone book.
In a telephone book.
Hell, shit.
And so I went and knocked on the door and said, hey, I'm Ricard from Los Angeles, blah, 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 Of course, they were they were a bit taken aback.
Yeah, a little bit, because they were probably of the paler persuasion.
Exactly. And
Praise Allah.
But see, when you go back and find out who these people were, the Ricard family were vintners and liqueur makers.
So they own wineries.
They own wineries, and they made the anisette. The anise.
Whoa.
So they were farmers and vintners, and they were people of the land.
That's your dad's side?
Yeah. Well, who else was doing that in France but the Moors?
Teach one. Teach.
I mean, agriculture they brought all that into Europe.
Teach.
See, and so, and later on in life, I learned that you mean they changed out the alphabet A and put an E there, called it Europe. That's one of the little epiphanies you start learning when you travel, and you start learning language.
Instead of Europa.
Instead of the name Europa, who was named after a melanated goddess from Greece.
Beat me to the point.
Oh, wait a minute. A melanated goddess from Greece put the name there. Well, yeah, because who were the first people in Europa?
And the first Greeks, for that matter.
And the first Greeks as well, yeah.
Phoenicians, right?
Yeah, or they called them, let's see, what was the term? The Grimaldi.
Grimaldi. Praise Allah, yeah.
Grimaldi moved in there first. And we know that because you find in Austria, you find the Venus of Willendorf, a statue of a sister, of a hefty 300-pound sister with the lock, with the naps, And so that shows that, and that's from 10,000 years, BC.
BC.
Yeah, so or BCE, right?
Well, what's funny is the Biblios Helios has us at 6,000 years old, right?
Yeah, that's that.
Well, whose group was that? Which Adam and Eve group was that?
Yeah, that was.
I'm wondering.
Yeah, I'd like to know where that was, because my travels showed me that the Garden of Eden is in Uganda. Because when you fly over Uganda, you see it.
So Uganda is close to Abyssinia, or what they call Ethiopia, right?
Below Abyssinia, yeah.
Which is the dividing of the land between the Father and the Son,
right.
Ham and Cush, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what they call the demarcation line.
Demarcation line. Right.
People say that there weren't territories.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Ham's dominion was the western side, right? And the eastern shores were Cush. Cushites, etc., right? And then Hindustan was, or Indians.
Right. Or India.
India.
Which later become India.
Ain't no damn Indians.
No.
Hello. Not in America. For the record.
Right, for the record. See, and that's one of the things that I had to grow up with. This not knowing, where you fit in, where you, to whom belong. To whom do you belong?
Does the Bible explain it at all?
Well, we weren't biblios. We were Catholics. We were raised in the Catholic Church, so.
Well, we started all that, but I'm saying, did the information in those books, did they ever explain that? Is what my question is.
Well, yes, I'm sure it's explained. More or less various, ways of, how it was taught. But.
Well, did we make the correlation as the final?
Well, sure, of course.
Did we? No, collectively, did Negro make the correlation as to who he is in reference to that Biblios Helios, that book?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Did he pay attention to Psalms 82:6? John 10:35? In terms of, and even what Brother Jesus said. Brother, Jesus said, not my God. Representative there us, folks.
Right.
That's right.
Remember, this is beyond the BS.
Right. That's right.
We got to tell it like it is.
Right. You have to be clear about it.
And of course, without over talking my elder here, this is why he's here. we're here to dispel certain things. He's got more experience and more travels than myself. So again, let's elaborate on, how they jacked up our message here.
Well, yeah, because once I left this country at a young age of 20, I packed up, got a one-way ticket, and left.
One way.
One way, just to see if I could make it. And because I had worked from 16 years up into 20, first in the restaurant business and then in the grocery business, and had all this public experience, with the public, and then I got in, started reading more, and started getting in, because we always had books being sold there, and I would pick up various books out of there and check them out, and I was after high school, I waited a year before I went back to school, went back to junior college.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, I started picking up different literature and finding out different things, because I was working in the grocery business, and I was meeting all these different people, and I was having all these different experiences, and I was learning things that I was a sponge.
I bet.
This is because this is the public interaction, right? And so.
Now this is before your nursing. Introduction to nursing.
This is before I even left. This is 16 to 20.
Right.
Because those first 16 years were rough, because I had, my dad I was his chief competition, because he was in the Navy, and when I was born, he was away, and then when he came out, and I was the number one, he wasn't.
Yeah, because I heard you say competition. That struck a chord.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because that's how he saw it. Because he come out of the service, out of the Navy.
He was supposed to be the focus, right?
He's supposed to get in the focus. Yeah, and then he come home, and here's his son his junior is the focus. I was the roly-poly little thing that everybody loved and fed all the time until I was, and then next thing I know, I'm in the hospital, and my tonsils and adenoids were removed at 2.5 years old, which nearly killed me.
Holy cow.
According to my mom. Right. Yeah. So then I grew up with asthma and all kind of problems.
Took your immune system out.
Yeah, it messed me all up. Yeah. So I was a victim of iatrogenics as a child, and it took me until I was 50 until I found out what happened.
Right. And explain what that word is, please.
The word iatrogenics is death and injury at the hands of allopathic medicine, or doctors and their treatments.
Death camps.
Yeah, that's what And the hospital comes from the word hospice, which is a place where you go to die. So why would you have children in there?
Say that one more time about the hospice.
Hospice is the word where the word hospital comes from. And,
Latin,
and
right?
that means a place where you go to die.
Whoa.
So why would you have your children in there? You see,
Woo.
why you're not having your children at home like you always did, and just have midwives and so forth to do this.
Amazing.
But this is stuff that all came to me later on, of course.
Right.
But once I left and went to of all places, I decided to go because my high school friend was an exchange student from Sweden. When he graduated from high school, he had already graduated from high school in Sweden, and he came here as an exchange student and did 12th grade over. So he got straight A's, and he got a full scholarship to Stanford.
Whoa!
Because he could also play soccer, as well as basketball. But he played soccer, because that's what he grew up doing. And so he, and when he graduated, and he almost married his sister, but his parents forbade him, which I found all this out later on. But he told me, he challenged me and said to me, well, why don't you come over why don't you just come on over to Sweden and finish up your college education over there? I said, oh, that sounds very interesting. Yeah, that sounds like something I might want to do. And we parted. He went home, and then at the job that I was on, the grocery business, I was clerk and stock clerk. The manager, the new manager we got in that year, that was 1965. That's the year Watts happened, by the way, and that's the year that sent me out of here. That really said to me, "Hey, this is ridiculous."
65. That's when Kennedy took one in the head, huh? Down there in Dallas, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Newark, New Jersey, when that occurred.
And it's same for me. When Kennedy was assassinated, and then King was assassinated. Man, I said, oh, those are years apart. But those are the two things that sort of really brought things. Yeah, brought my mind together about. No, I'm not. I'm not a part of this. And I'm not, because I had started to learn about Martin Luther King, and I also started learning about Malcolm X in my 18 to 20 year period, because that was after high school I started reading J.A. Rogers' books. The 100 Basic Facts About the Negro was one of the first things I was introduced to. It's not here. I have it in my library. And then I read Nature Knows No Color Line. Oh man, that was a book that just.
Now, what's the most famous J.A. Rogers book that everybody mostly knows about? Gosh darn. They came before Columbus?
No, that's Van Sertima.
That's Van Sertima.
J.A. Rogers' books start with Africa's Gift to America, the 100 Basic Facts About the Negro, Nature as Nature Leads, Nature Knows No Color Line.
Seems like there's another book that I'm escaping the title for.
Let's see. Then there's The World's Great Men and Women of Color, 2 volumes. And then
there's a
there's
specific one that I know I'm going to remember it here in a minute. But
and then he wrote this 25-page pamphlet that was the most incredible thing I ever read of him, which was called the Ku Klux Spirit.
The Ku
Klux Spirit.
Spirit.
The Ku Klux Spirit, wherein he lays out the whole invisible empire, and he shows that there were even Negro Klansmen.
Well, where does it originate, beloved?
Huh?
Where does all that originate? Go ahead and tell your audience.
All that originates with us, of course.
Where specifically?
Where specifically?
Well, Kemet, right?
Well,
or Tamara.
Tamara.
Tamara. I'm sorry, I pronounced that wrong. Tamara.
Yeah, and Tamara is over here as well. See, in fact, Tamara is here because most people want to say that Tamara is along the Nile.
Well, where's the Nile?
Into the long, no, but I mean along the Nile in the Red Sea, out into the Red Sea, because that's
a tributary, ain't it?
Right.
Just like the Ohio River is.
Well, I don't know that the Nile. Let's see, the Nile runs
north and south, right?
Yeah, it runs south to north.
Well,
that's
south,
the only river.
Well, then that's interesting.
Right,
you say that.
Right.
South to north.
But the Red Sea then is down there. The canal goes down into the Red Sea.
Correct.
Right. So that's not the.
It was dredged by hand.
Right.
By the pharaohs.
Right. And also the River Niger was dredged all the way out into the Atlantic. All the way across.
Well, then all right.
Yeah,
let's please elaborate, because then where does it end up?
Over here.
Why? Because I just had a nice little interesting back and forth with a Rasta from Jamaica. And he said he was a European, also a Ugandan, Ashanti, I believe, connected with that. I'm like, I'm not arguing with that. What his problem was the Moors. Oh, they're the greatest race traders in the history of man. I'm like, bro, I see you have an agenda instead of acknowledging the fact that, yeah, the Mississippi is your upper Nile River. Do you want to dispute that? Oh, well, the Nile River is the only river that goes north and south in Africa. I'm like, first of all, you ain't even saying the name right. Africa is a colony in the north of Al-Kibulan, Mr. Smarty Pants, you know what I'm saying? But he wanted to go back and forth with a sheik, and I'm like, dude, I do this for breakfast. I see you're not well researched, and you're mad at Moors for some reason.
Well, that's because they've been able to point fingers at certain things that they claim are Moors, but they're not. These are outcomes like the pirates. There were plenty of renegade Moors about pirating.
All Moor mean is land.
Right.
Just to deal with the purity of the word.
Right. All right.
It could mean other things too, but Lemurians, you know what I'm saying, Atlanteans, we had so many derivatives and connections. We're the descendants of all that. We wrote everything.
Built everything.
Built everything. Why are we tripping on the labels of man?
Right. And especially the labels of the